There are days when the first light of dawn breaks and everything seems as peaceful as usual. But within someone's heart, an invisible emptiness has quietly crept in. That was how Sarah felt, a young woman who always believed she was strong enough to face life until the day her mother passed away. The loss came suddenly, like an unexpected storm. Sarah felt left behind in an endless sea, adrift and lost. Her home now seemed too vast, too empty. She wondered, "Mother, if you're with God, why do I still feel so lonely? Why can't I feel any comfort?" Sarah was not the only one who had ever felt this way. Millions of people around the world have faced the pain of losing their parents, those who were once their support, their guiding light in life. But in the darkness of suffering, there is always a ray of light, a word of comfort, a message from the Bible can become the hand that lifts a broken heart. And it was within those sacred pages that Sarah found something she never expected. Today, we will explore the Bible verses that bring comfort, the words of God for hearts in pain, and how faith can become a source of strength, helping us endure the hardest moments. Do not take your eyes off this video, because within these words, you may find the light you have been seeking. There are days when everything seems normal, yet within someone's heart, a silent storm is brewing. This is the story of Sarah, a young woman who once believed she was strong enough to face anything life could bring. For Sarah, her mother was more than just the one who gave her life. She was her best friend, her source of comfort on sad days, and her guiding light in the darkest moments. But one day, everything changed. Her mother quietly passed away, leaving behind an emptiness in Sarah's heart that nothing could fill. The house that was once filled with laughter now stood in silence. Her mother's chair remained. Her Bible still lay on the table, but now it was just an old book with faded pages. Sarah didn't know what to do. The pain of losing her mother was like a deep wound in her heart. She tried to be strong, tried to forget, but each night, as darkness enveloped the house, loneliness overwhelmed her. There were nights when Sarah prayed, yet her heart remained heavy. She whispered, "Lord, if you are always with me, why do I feel so alone? Why doesn't this pain go away?" Sarah was not alone. Around the world, millions of people have experienced the heartbreak of losing a parent. It is a pain that no one can fully understand, a deep emptiness within. But sometimes, even in the darkest nights, there is a light. For Sarah, that light was found in the worn pages of her mother's Bible. She began reading, page by page, line by line, and each word felt like a gentle whisper, a comforting embrace for her wounded heart. A small lesson. Sometimes comfort does not come from the outside, but from the sincere words that touch the heart. The Bible, with its simple yet profound messages, can be a source of strength to overcome grief. Sarah found a glimmer of light in her mother's Bible. But why does the Bible have such a powerful ability to comfort? What is it about the words of God that can soothe a grieving heart? There are people who pass through our lives in an instant, leaving behind only faint memories. But parents are different. They are not just the ones who bring us into the world and raise us. They are the ones who teach us our very first lessons about love. They are the arms that embrace us when the weather turns cold, the gentle smile when we cry, and the calming voice when we fear the darkness. They are the first pillars of our lives. And then one day, when that pillar is gone, it feels as though the entire world has collapsed. Sarah knew this all too well. Losing her mother was not just losing a loved one, it was losing someone who always listened, someone who always put her needs above all else. It was losing the gentle voice that called her name, losing the warm gaze that followed her every step. For Sarah, that loss felt like an invisible hole in her heart. She tried to be strong, tried not to cry, but each night, as everything sank into silence, loneliness rose within her. A small lesson: losing a parent is not just losing a loved one, it is losing a part of yourself, the part that was loved unconditionally, the part that felt the safest. Yet even in the darkness of sorrow, there is still a glimmer of light. Sarah found that light in the old, worn pages of her mother's Bible. But why does the Bible have such a profound power? What is it about the teachings of God that can soothe a broken heart? In the darkest moments, when everything seems to be falling apart, where do we turn for comfort? Sarah turned to the Bible, the book her mother had left behind. The Bible is not just an ancient text, it is the whisper of God, words that have comforted millions of broken hearts for centuries. Why does the Bible have such power? Because each word is more than just text. It is a promise from God, a promise that we are never alone, that no matter how deep the sorrow, there is always an unseen hand holding us up. A real-life example: Mark's story. Mark was a strong man, always resilient, no matter how tough life became. But when his father passed away, Mark felt as if he had lost everything. He tried to stay strong, tried not to cry, but every time he returned home and saw that empty chair, his heart shattered. In his despair, Mark opened his father's Bible and by chance read a verse. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Psalm 34:18. In that moment, Mark realized he was not alone. He was not just left with memories of his father, but with a strong faith that God was with him just as his father once was. A small lesson: the Bible is not just a religious book. It is the whisper of God, a light in the darkness, a hand that lifts us when our hearts are broken. Just like Mark, Sarah also found peace in the Bible. But what is it about the words in the Bible that has the power to heal their hearts? Let's explore the Bible verses that bring comfort and hope, helping us overcome the pain of loss. When a heart is broken, sometimes all it takes is a word of comfort to help us stand strong. And the Bible, with its teachings from God, has always been an unfading source of spiritual strength. The first Bible verse: comfort in tears. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Matthew 5:4. This is not just a promise, it is a reminder that God never turns his back on those who are suffering. Your tears are never meaningless. Just as a mother lovingly embraces her child when it cries, God also holds us gently and tenderly. The second Bible verse: God's presence in suffering. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23 verse 1. Sarah remembered the mornings when her mother would read this verse. For her mother, it was not just a line of text. It was a promise that God was always watching over and protecting her. When we feel most alone, when everyone seems to drift away, God remains there, like a shepherd who always watches over his flock. 3. The third Bible verse: a promise of peace. Sarah once thought her pain would never go away, but as she read this verse, she realized that she did not have to force herself to be strong. God does not ask us to be unbreakable or to never falter. He simply asks us to come to Him to find peace in His loving embrace. The fourth Bible verse, hope of eternal life. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. John 14:18. The pain of losing a parent often comes with the fear of eternal separation. But this verse is a promise that we are never truly abandoned. Sarah understood that even though her mother was no longer by her side, her mother's love remained, and she had never truly lost her. A small lesson. Bible verses are not just lines on a page. They are God's promises, a source of spiritual strength, a light that guides us through the darkness. But how can we make sure these Bible verses are not just words, but a true source of strength in our lives? Let's explore how we can apply these teachings to our everyday lives. Reading the Bible is a wonderful thing, but what happens if we do more than just read? If we let those words sink deep into our hearts and become a guiding light in our lives? Sarah wrote in her notebook, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Matthew 5:4. Sarah began each day by reading a Bible verse, but instead of just skimming through, she chose to live by those teachings. Step 1. Reflecting deeply on each verse. Not just reading casually, but reading with a calm mind, reflecting on each word. Sarah thought about her pain and whispered to herself, if God says those who mourn will be comforted, then maybe my pain is not meaningless. Step 2. Making the Bible a part of everyday life. Sarah didn't just read the Bible, she brought its teachings into her daily life. Every morning, when she looked in the mirror, she saw the Bible verse reminding her that God was always with her. Step 3. Praying and sharing with God. Sarah didn't just read the Bible passively. She turned those words into prayers. Sarah, whispering, her voice filled with emotion, "Dear Lord, I feel so alone, but I trust that you're always by my side. Please grant me the peace that only you can give." A small lesson. The Bible is not just meant to be read, it is meant to be lived. It is a guiding light, a comforting whisper in the darkness of the soul. But even when we know that God is always with us, there are still times when we make mistakes. We try to be strong, but end up pushing ourselves deeper into suffering. So, what are the common mistakes people make when dealing with loss? And how can we overcome them? Pukal. When faced with the pain of losing a parent, we often try to be strong. We think we must be resilient. We must overcome. But the truth is, grief is a part of love, and not everyone knows how to face it. One mistake. 1. Denying your own emotions. Many people, like Sarah, believe that crying is a sign of weakness. They try to hold back their tears, trying to appear strong in front of others. But in reality, tears are not a sign of weakness. Tears are the way our hearts begin to heal. 2. Mistake 2. Blaming yourself or blaming God. Sarah, her voice trembling. Why, God? Why did my mother have to leave? I prayed. I believed in you. But why? Grief often brings a sense of helplessness, and when we cannot control the situation, it becomes easy to blame ourselves, or even blame God. Like Mark, many people think they could have done something to prevent the loss. But the truth is, life and death are not in our hands. 3. Mistake. 3. Isolating yourself, avoiding family and friends. Sarah felt like no one could understand her pain. She locked herself in loneliness, pushing away those who truly loved her. But the truth is, in the darkest moments, we need connection more than ever. Grief does not have to be a lonely journey. seeking temporary comfort. When our hearts are wounded, we often turn to temporary pleasures to escape the pain. But nothing can truly fill the void left by a parent except for true love and peace from God. Grief is not something we can escape. It is a natural part of life, a natural part of love. Don't try to be strong alone. Allow yourself to cry. Share your pain with those who love you. But even when we understand that suffering is part of life, there is still one emotion that is the hardest to face. It is anger and blame towards God and towards ourselves. So how do we forgive God? And how do we forgive ourselves? When faced with loss, there is one silent but powerful emotion: anger. Anger at life, at fate, and sometimes at God. Sarah, whispering, her voice choked with emotion, "God, where were you when my mother was suffering? Why did you let her go?" Sarah was not the only one who had ever asked this question. Millions around the world, when losing a loved one, have doubted God's love. One forgiving God, understanding that He is always present. Forgiving God does not mean forgetting the pain. It means understanding that God never left us, even in our darkest moments. There are things that happen which we may never understand, but faith means believing in God's love, even when we cannot see it. 2. Forgiving yourself. Letting go of self-blame. Sarah also blamed herself. If I had taken better care of my mother, if I had spent more time with her. Mark blamed himself for not being able to save his father. But the truth is, none of us have control over life and death. Forgiving yourself means understanding that you did your best with love and sincerity. It means letting go of guilt and allowing yourself to find peace. 3. How to truly forgive. So how can we truly forgive? Sometimes it is a long process, but 3 things can help. 1. Be honest with your emotions. Don't suppress your pain. Allow yourself to cry and say what you're feeling. 2. Pray. Tell God what is in your heart. Let Him know how much you are hurting. 3. Embrace love. Remember that you are not alone. Reach out to friends, family, or a faith community for comfort. A small lesson: forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about accepting that we cannot control everything. It is about letting go of burdens so that the heart can be at peace. When Sarah learned to forgive God and forgive herself, she began to feel her heart grow lighter. But what if we turn forgiveness into a heartfelt prayer, surrendering all our sorrows and worries to God? Let's discover a special prayer for those who have lost their parents. When the heart is in pain and tears keep falling, sometimes ordinary words are not enough to bring comfort. But in the silence of prayer, we can surrender all our sorrow, all our worries, and every tear to God. One Sarah's prayer. Sarah, whispering, her voice choked with emotion, "Dear Lord, I come before you with a broken heart. I have lost my mother, the one who always loved me, always stood by me. Now, the house feels empty, and my heart is filled with loneliness. But Lord, you have said, 'Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted.' I surrender this pain to you. Please wipe away my tears and grant me the peace that only you can give." 2. A prayer for all who have lost their parents. Dear Lord, we pray for all those who are grieving the loss of their parents. May you come to them like a warm embrace in the dark, like a ray of light in a gloomy sky. Comfort their hearts and give them the faith to know that their loved ones now rest in your loving arms. Remind them that no matter how great their sorrow, they are never alone. You are always present, always listening, and always loving. 3. The power of prayer, a real-life example. For Sarah, prayer was not just words. It was a heartfelt conversation with God. Each time she prayed, her sorrow gradually melted away, making room for peace. Prayer did not make the pain disappear instantly, but it was like a small light in the darkness, helping her find her way back to peace. A small lesson. Prayer is not just speaking your thoughts out loud. It is surrendering all your pain to God and receiving His peace in return. Sarah found peace through prayer, but life did not stop. To truly overcome grief, we must rediscover faith and embrace new hope. So, how can we continue to live with strength, love, and hope, even when our hearts have been broken? After many long days in the darkness of grief, Sarah began to realize that life still went on. Losing her mother was not the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Sarah opened her mother's Bible and turned to a verse she had always loved. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. Instead of being overwhelmed by sadness, Sarah chose to turn her mother's love into a source of strength for her to keep living. One rediscovering meaning in life. Sarah realized that life does not end when we lose a loved one. Instead, it gives us an opportunity to cherish the memories and live with the love they have given us. She transformed her pain into a motivation to love more and to help others who were also suffering. 2. Rebuilding faith through the Bible. Sarah no longer read the Bible just as a routine. She turned its teachings into a guiding light for her life. Whenever she felt weak, she would read verses about hope, like a lamp shining in the darkness. 3. Connecting with community and sharing. Sarah also learned to open her heart and share her pain with others. She realized that she was not alone. Others had also suffered as she had, and they found peace by sharing their stories together. 4. Keeping hope alive by remembering beautiful memories. Sarah no longer cried when she thought of her mother. Instead, she smiled, knowing that her mother would always live in her heart, and that her mother's love would never fade. A small lesson. Loss is an unavoidable part of life, but it is not the end. It is a reminder that love endures, and faith can become wings that help us soar above the darkest skies. Sarah found peace, love, and new hope in her life. But what if we could embrace our pain together and turn it into strength? Let's end with an inspiring message, one that helps you find light in every darkness. Life is like a book. Life is like a book, and each chapter tells its own story. Some pages are filled with joy and laughter, while others are soaked with tears and sorrow. Sarah once thought that losing her mother was the end, but then she realized that it was not the end. It was just the beginning of a new journey. Not only did she find peace for herself, but she also became a source of comfort for others. A profound message about life and loss. Loss is an inevitable part of life. It is life's way of reminding us about the value of love and the precious moments spent with those we cherish. But loss is also an opportunity, a chance to learn how to love more deeply, to cherish those who are still with us, and to discover a faith stronger than ever before. 2. One last, inspiring story. Mr. John had lived with his wife for 40 years. When she passed away, he felt as if his world had crumbled. But instead of drowning in grief, he chose to plant a rose garden, the flowers his wife loved most. Every morning, he watered them, tended to each bloom. And when the roses blossomed, he smiled. She is not here anymore, but our love will continue to bloom. 3 final advice: turning pain into strength. Like Sarah, like Mr. John, you too can turn your pain into strength. Remember, every tear is a seed of hope, and every loss is a lesson about love. Love while you can, cherish those around you, and when loss comes, never forget that God is always by your side, holding you up. A call to action. If this video has brought you peace, share it with those you love. Subscribe to our channel to continue receiving meaningful messages from the Bible. And always remember, you are never alone. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. John 14:18.